Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Together please. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nestiki. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 7, Chapter 9, which is prayers by Prahlad Maharaj, or Prahlad pacifies Lord Nrsimhadev with prayers. And today we will be discussing on verses 24 to 28. So if you have your devices, and if you can pull up 7, 9, 28, please. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. Kamabhikamam anuyaha prapatan prasangat. Prasang 7, 9, 28. Kamabhikamam anuyaha prapatan prasangat. Kritvatmasat surashena bhagavan grihita. Soham katham no visrije tava bhritya sevam. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. Kama bhikama manuyah prapatan prasangat. Ritvatmasat surashena bhagavan grihita. Soham katham no visraje tava pritya sevam. Please repeat. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. Mahabhikama manuya prapatan prasangat. Kritvatmasat surashena bhagavan grihita. Soham katham no visrije tava pritya sevam. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. Kama bhikama manuya prapatan prasanga. Kritvatmasat surashena bhagavan grihita. Soham katham no visrije tava bhritya seva. Let's do translation to synonyms together. Evam, thus, janam, people in general, nipatitam, fallen, prabhava, of material existence, ahikupe, in a blind well full of snakes, kama, abhikamam, desiring the sense objects, anu, following, yaha, the persons who, prapatan, falling down in this condition, prasangat, because of bad association or increased association with material desires, kritva atmasat, causing me to acquire spiritual qualities like himself, Sri Narada, Surarshina, by saintly person Narada, Bhagavan, O my Lord, Grihita, accepted, Saha, that person, Aham, I, Katham, how, Nu, indeed, Visrije, can give up, Tava, your, Bhritya Seva, the service of your pure devotee. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, together. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? This entire chapter, the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, is extremely beautiful and extremely instructive. It feels like drops of cooling water on a burning heart. It's very, very wonderful prayers. So before we read the purport, I want to go through verses 24 to 27, translations and discussion, and then we can elaborate on verse 28. So for verse 24, would anyone like to read the translation?
My dear Lord, now I have complete experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasures enjoyed by all living entities, from Lord Brahma down to the ants. As this powerful time, you destroy them all. Therefore, because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. My dear Lord, I request you place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as your sincere servant.
So here, Prahlad Maharaj expresses that he does not desire opulence, mystic power, longevity, and in the previous verse he also expresses he does not desire status, position in this world, because he has seen through his own experience the reality of these things. He saw all these great demigods like Indra and so many different demigods who were so powerful, and they always thought that they are protected because of their power, their position. And he saw that his father, just one demon, he vanquished all these demigods, brought them under his control, defeated them, and took their position. So all these wonderful high positions were completely brought down by one person, one demon, Hiranyakashipu. And it is mentioned in the previous verse that just by the movement of his eyebrows, Hiranyakashipu vanquished all these demigods. And what to speak of Hiranyakashipu himself? Thousands and thousands of years he spent in austerity, strong austerity, intense pain, just to please Lord Brahma and to get some boons. And after all of this effort and after receiving all those benedictions, he thought he has become immortal. But then simply through the nails of Nrsimhadev, he was torn into pieces and his existence was vanquished as well. So Prahlad Maharaj has seen all these examples in his life of people who have achieved so much, who held so much power, influence, position, and yet it was snatched from them within a split second. And so he has become indifferent to it. He says, what is the point of all this power, influence, status? He does not desire for any of that. Because by the influence of time, all material happiness and all material status will be destroyed. So we may ask, and he says in this verse actually, that therefore because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. We may ask, he's just a 5-year-old kid, and how come a 5-year-old child has experience about all these things? He says, my experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasure. How can a 5-year-old kid have so many experiences? So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, every intelligent man can get experience like that of Prahlad Maharaj through the historical incidents mentioned in this great literature of spiritual knowledge. By following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, one should gain thorough experience that all material opulence is perishable at every moment. So it is not necessarily direct experience physically. Experience can also come through knowledge. That is what Srila Prabhupada writes. By studying Srimad Bhagavatam, an intelligent person can get experience like that of Prahlad Maharaj. So simply by learning, simply by reading about the reality of these material opulences and situations, one can understand by experience, through knowledge, that these are temporary, and therefore an intelligent person will naturally make decisions accordingly to stay away from such desires. So Prahlad Maharaj says that from Brahma down to the ant, all entities are trying to enjoy. And that reminds us of this verse from Kevalastakam, Abrahma Stamba Paryantam Sarva Maya Mayam Jagat, that the entire universe from exalted Brahma down to the lowly clump of grass is a product of the illusory energy of the Lord. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that as powerful time, Krishna destroys all of that, and that's why he does not want any material possession. And so what does he want? If he does not want material possession, he says in the end, my dear Lord, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. So he's only requesting for service of a pure devotee, of his Guru Maharaj, which he will again touch upon the later verse 28. So now, through this verse, we understand that, okay, in the grand scheme of things, in the long term, everything is destroyed by the influence of time, be it opulence, be it power. But in our short-term lives, right, in these few years, we can at least enjoy some material pleasure. One may ask this question. So what about that? And Prahlad Maharaj rejects this idea also in the next verse, which is verse 25. Can someone read the translation, please?
In this material world, every living entity desires some future happiness, which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Where is water in the desert? Or in other words, where is happiness in the material world? As for this body, what is its value? It is merely a source of various diseases. The so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians know this very well, but nonetheless, they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but they are unable to control their senses. They run after the so-called happiness of the material world and never come to the right conclusion.
Yeah. Thank you. So in this verse, Srila Prahlad Maharaj rejects the idea that even in the short span of life, shall we hunt for sense gratification? Shall we try to become happy through material means? He says no. He says because in the material world, every living entity desires some future happiness, which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Where is water in the desert? Or in other words, where is happiness in this material world? In the Sanskrit of this verse, there's a word called Shruti Sukha, which means pleasing only to hear of. So Prahlad Maharaj compares all the happiness that we can receive through the five senses, through touch, through vision, through smell, taste, by hearing. He says all the kind of happiness that we can experience is actually only Shruti Sukha, which means pleasing only to hear of. Only in imagination do they provide happiness, but in reality they don't have substance. And he says all these desires for future happiness is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Mriga Trishni, Rupa. Just like a deer in the desert, he jumps from one mirage to another in the search of some water to quench his thirst. Similarly, the living entity jumps from one sense gratification to another, just trying to squeeze out some drops of pleasure from this mirage of material activities. But even then, he is completely unsatiated, unsatisfied, because there is no water in that mirage. There is no pleasure. And even then, if someone wants to enjoy, then Prahlad Maharaj says, as for this body, what is its value? It is merely a source of various diseases. So even if then one wants to try to enjoy, he says that this body itself is not capable really to enjoy much, because it is a breeding ground, it is a generating ground of so many diseases. If you try to enjoy, every material pleasure in this world is attached to some kind of misery, some kind of disease, some kind of side effects. We can really analyze and see anything that we try to enjoy will come with some negative repercussion. And so Prahlad Maharaj says that even if you want to still try to enjoy, still trying to hunt for happiness in these mirages, even then your body will not support you. So what is the point? And then he says something very amazing. He says, the so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians, the Sanskrit word used is vidwan, intelligent people in general. So the so-called intelligent people, they aspire for temporary. The so-called intelligent people, they know this very well. They know what? They know that there is no pleasure in sense gratification. There is no pleasure in material happiness. This body is not meant for happiness. They know this. The so-called intelligent people know this very well, but nonetheless, they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but because they are unable to control their senses, they run after the so-called happiness of the material world and never come to the right conclusion. And I think that this is the position of most of us, where we know the philosophy, we know that we cannot really achieve any substantial pleasure or anything of meaning or substance from these activities, but we still are unable to control our senses, and we still try to chase them. There's one word used in the Sanskrit in the verse called kama anala, which means the lusty desires are like a blazing fire, which we try to extinguish using madhu lave. The word is used. Madhu means honey, lave means drops. So imagine trying to extinguish a large fire through drops of honey. And that is our condition. He says that is the condition of these vidwan, these so-called intelligent people, that we are trying to extinguish the fire of desires through drops of honey, by trying to extract these drops of pleasure. But it is fruitless. It is going to end in disappointment, dissatisfaction, and frustration. And therefore, Srila Prahlad Maharaj is expressing such uninterest, such disinterest in anything material. He's simply asking for service for a pure devotee. So now, let's say that Narasimhadev asks Prahlad Maharaj that, if you are saying, Prahlad, that it is so difficult to get over these material desires, it is so difficult that even these vidwan, these so-called intelligent people, cannot control their senses, then how come you, a 5-year-old kid, how are you expressing such a distaste in material pleasure? And so Prahlad Maharaj says in the next verse, verse 26, do we have translation?
O my Lord, O Supreme, because I was born in a family family full of the hellish material qualities of passion and ignorance. What is my position? And what is to be said of your causeless mercy, which was never offered even to the Lord Brahma or Shiva or the goddess of fortune Lakshmi? You never put your lotus hand upon their heads, but you have put it upon mine.
So Prahlad Maharaj says that this was possible only by your mercy. It is not my qualification that I have this realization that there is no pleasure in these material activities and I have a distaste for them. It is not my qualification. It is because you chose to place your hand upon me, and because of that touch I have been purified. He's not taking any credit. Prahlad says, I was born in the midst of passion and ignorance. I was born among atheists and demons. And so I don't have any position or qualification that I can claim which influenced me to have this renunciation. It is simply by your mercy. A mercy that you even did not show to Brahma or Shiva or even to your own consort, Lakshmi. But somehow you have showed it to me. I don't know how. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that Srila Prahlad Maharaj is genuinely surprised at this. He does not know why Nrsimhadev has shown him this causeless mercy. He does not know what is the reason for that. He is genuinely surprised and shocked. And this is a lesson in humility. Because sometimes we may think that we have spent so many years in devotional service, or we have done such and such service, or we have held such and such positions within the community. We have rendered so many services, and so maybe we deserve some reciprocation, or maybe we deserve some realization or some kind of benediction. But here is Prahlad Maharaj, who all his life, all he did was remember Vishnu. In life or in death, in any painful situation or any happy situation, all he did was he could think of Vishnu. While he was being tried, while there was an attempt on his life, while he was being tortured and abused, he did not offend his perpetrators. He did not react. He did not try to take revenge. He did not try to fix the situation. He did not run away. He simply remained calm and remained chanting Vishnu's name, remembering Vishnu, remembering Krishna. While he was preaching, he converted his entire school students to devotees at the risk of his life being taken away. Such surrender and such dedication and such remembrance of Krishna. And this personality, he says that he is surprised. He does not know why Vishnu is being merciful unto him. And so if we think that we have done some service, we have done some chanting, we have been here for so long, and therefore we deserve some kind of mercy from Krishna. So this verse is meant to humble us, to remind us that causeless mercy is truly causeless. We cannot expect anything in return for our service. If we see these great acharyas like Prahlad Maharaj are themselves displaying that in their conduct and their personality. And many acharyas express this mood. Narottam Das Thakur prays, Yadi daya na hoibe, Yadi daya na khoribe patita dekhiya, patita pavana nama kishere lagiyada. If you do not have mercy on me, seeing my fallen condition, then why are you called the deliverer of the fallen? And similarly, he says, many acharyas pray in a similar way, where they consider themselves fallen and undeserving and begging for the mercy of Krishna. So now one may ask the question that the Lord did not show this mercy even to his devotees, to servants like Brahma and Shiva and Lakshmi, but he showed this mercy to Prahlad. So is he picking favorites? Is he biased in his approach? And the next verse answers this question. Verse 27.
Unlike an ordinary living entity, my Lord, you do not discriminate between friends and enemies, the favorable and the unfavorable, because for you there is no conception of higher and lower. Nonetheless, you offer your benedictions according to the level of one's service, exactly as a desire tree delivers fruits according to one's desires, and makes no distinction between the lower and the higher.
So Srila Prahlad Maharaj clears this doubt that does God pick favorites? Is he biased because he showed mercy only to Prahlad? Srila Prabhupada says in a talk related to this verse, and I quote, there is a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. It is up to you if you surrender 100%, then I am also fully 100% for you. But if you have got discrimination, certain percentage for my wife, certain percentage for my children, certain percentage for my country, certain percent, so on, so on, so on, so on. Ultimately, 0 for God. Then God is also 0. It is up to you. But if you take God, you are my everything, then He is also for you everything. It is up to you. He does not discriminate. You discriminate. So, Prabhupada is very clear. Krishna does not discriminate. We may see, it may appear externally that Krishna is being more favorable to certain devotees. Certain devotees have attained better, greater realizations in a short span of time. Certain devotees have been able to go deeper, have been able to surrender more. Certain devotees have achieved more. Externally it may appear more opulence, more grandeur. And so it may appear that Krishna is picking favorites or favoring certain devotees over others. Here we may feel we are fallen, we are still full of anarthas, so many years, still no inner purification, still no dedication, no commitment. Why are some devotees really thriving and why am I suffering? And so there may be a question that why is there this discrimination, or why am I not making progress? Sachinandan Swami, he was saying in a talk once that after Srila Prabhupada left the world, Sachinandan Swami, he was feeling that he had been chanting for a long time and he felt that he was not getting any result. He could not experience anything. He was not getting any reciprocation or realization. And he felt that the process does not work. He felt he was losing faith in the process. And he even considered that maybe I should leave ISKCON, maybe I should join something else, maybe I should join this Babaji, or maybe I should join another organization where people seem to be more, experiencing more things or so on. And so he was going through this mental dilemma and this tug of war. What should I do? The process is not working for me. But then he remembered Prabhupada, and he remembered the mercy of Prabhupada, the love of Prabhupada. And he thought that, did Prabhupada cheat us? And he thought, no, it could not be possible. Prabhupada was not lying. Then he thought, is there a problem in the process, or is there a problem in my application of the process? So he had the realization that it was his application of the process that was not correct or not ideal. And so he spent now the rest or the next several years in really intensifying his practice, really going deep and really trying to chant the way that Prabhupada wanted us to chant, or the way that the acharyas are telling us to chant, the way that Bhagavatam is asking us to perform devotional service, to go really deep, to intensify it, to try not to have other material motivations, anyabhilashita shunyam. So Satchidananda Swami says that with renewed intensity, with greater intensity and greater purpose, he then went deep into his sadhana. And here, after all these years, we have this amazing Japa Guru, this amazing devotee, Satchidananda Swami, with so many deep realizations and experiences he shares in his seminars. So the point again is that the Lord does not discriminate. Like Prabhupada said, you discriminate, we discriminate. We really have to see, and as I say this, I'm really just preaching to myself, that we really have to see that how much am I really dedicating internally? Because externally it may appear that, okay, I'm giving time, I'm chanting for 2 hours, doing this service, doing this sadhana, reading, and so on. But internally, how much am I really giving? Am I really giving cent per cent in terms of my emotions, in terms of my dedication? Or am I holding back? If we are holding back, even though externally giving, then we have to understand Krishna will also hold back. So now, one may ask that through this verse, Prahlad Maharaj says, you offer your benedictions according to the level of one's service, exactly as a desire tree delivers fruits according to one's desires. So, is Prahlad Maharaj aware that Narasimhadev has shown him mercy because of his services? Is Prahlad Maharaj taking credit that yes, I have performed services and so you have been merciful unto me? But that's not the case. Prahlad Maharaj gives all the credit to his Guru, which we see in the next verse. Can we again read that translation, please, for verse 28?
My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service?
So, Prahlad Maharaj is not taking credit for any of his eligibility or any of his services. He says, I was so fallen, I was falling into a blind well full of snakes, but your servant Narad Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple. So it is Narada's credit that he accepted me and he engaged me. And that is why you are showing me mercy. Not because I have done something, but because Narada accepted me. And therefore it is my first duty to serve him. How could I leave his service? Because Narasimhadev was present there in person, putting his hand on Prahlad's head and ready to give him all benedictions. But Prahlad Maharaj, he refused any benediction. He just begged to remain engaged in the service of his spiritual master. How could I leave his service? My first duty is to serve him. If a faithful disciple, he understands yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, that only by the satisfaction of the spiritual master will Krishna be satisfied. And Narottam Das Thakur prays Rupa Raghunath Pade Hoi Be Akuti Kabe Hame Bujhabo Shri Yugala Piriti. That when will I become attached to the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, Rupa and Raghunath, and therefore maybe someday I will be able to see and understand the divine couple. So all the acharyas, all the devotees acknowledge the fact that it is only through the service and mercy of the spiritual master that there can be any success in spiritual endeavor, in spiritual realization. And therefore, even if, let's say, they attain Krishna, like Prabhupada, like Prahlad Maharaj attained Narasimhadev, they still remain faithful and they still think that they want to continue service of their spiritual master, because the gratitude and the love is so deep with the spiritual master. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a beautiful exchange between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami has just escaped prison and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "My dear Sanatan, please hear from me. Krishna is very merciful, and he is the deliverer of all fallen souls. My dear Sanatan, Krishna has saved you from Maharaurava, life's deepest hell. He is an ocean of mercy and his activities are very grave." Sanatan replied, "I do not know who Krishna is. As far as I am concerned, I have been released from prison only by your mercy." So this is the position of a Vaishnava, where he says, "I do not know Krishna. I'm simply grateful to be your servant. I simply know you, O Guru Maharaj, O spiritual master, and it is by your mercy only that I have been saved." And that's why a devotee always wants to continue serving the Guru. Das das anutas. So, to summarize, Prahlad Maharaj initially expresses a disinterest in any material position or status, because he says it is temporary, by time it will all be destroyed. And then he says there is no pleasure in material activities, in material sense gratification, because it is like a mirage. It is empty, dry, without any substance. And even then, if someone wants to enjoy, he says the body is not capable, the body is full, a breeding ground of diseases. Any material endeavor or any endeavor for material happiness will only bring misery. And then he says that he himself was able to get detached from this by the mercy of Krishna, by the causeless mercy. And that was because Krishna favors his devotees in accordance to their service. But Prahlad Maharaj rejects the idea that he himself did anything. He gives all the credit to his Guru Maharaj, saying that the Guru Maharaj, Narad Muni, has saved him. And therefore, in the end, he begs to remain a servant of Narad Muni. So in conclusion, I just want to recite a beautiful prayer that I came across by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. This is from Vivekashtakam, verse number 6, which is sort of relevant to some of the verses we discussed. Prabodhananda Saraswati says, "In childhood, I was already a fool. After all, at that age, who knows what pilgrimage to a holy place is? In my youth, filled with desire for sense gratification, I stood in awe of those enjoying like kings. Now this body is taken over by decrepitude, and although my sense organs are destroyed, the noose of their activities remains tight around my neck in the form of affection for the things of this world. Alas, how far I am from Vrindavan." Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for a wonderful class. I appreciate your class, and especially the last point that you made, Prabodhananda Saraswati's prayer. I was thinking how far I am away from that Vrindavan consciousness. And also I was appreciating the quote of Sachinandan Swami, his realizations that you narrated. And I was thinking about His Grace Andhra Prabhu. He wanted to write a book before he departed from this world, how mere by chanting Hare Krishna, his Siddha Swarupa, constitutional position in the spiritual world, was revealed to him. He had a deep realization on that subject, and he wanted to pen it down in his book. And by some arrangement of Krishna, he departed before he could do that. But as you said, it takes one to know one, so I am really, really far away from the realization. But I do have faith that there are some souls who have those deep realizations simply by chanting Hare Krishna. So it appears to be very simple, just like Bhagavad Gita, right? It is said to be an open secret. It has Raja Vidya, Rajaguhya, most confidential knowledge, and it is widely and openly available for anyone and everyone. But very few actually can delve into or deep dive into the real imports, right? One who is aligned with the mood of Krishna, what he wants to give. So I humbly pray to their lordships and also to the assembled devotees that one day maybe, I can get closer to that realization. Thank you for churning.
Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. Beautiful.
We have intelligence, but still we have to we engage in sanctification. Even though we know we are intelligent, we know that they don't lead to, they're useless. They're not going to really satisfy us. So, what do you have to say for that, for a devotee? What's the future of a devotee who, still engages in sanctification, even though he even though he has that understanding? So how to get the mercy? How the mercy? Because obviously it looks like the only solution is to get the mercy. So what's the position of a person like that?
I don't remember the exact verse, but in Bhagavatam, I think 11th canto, I'm not sure. At one place it is said that, I'm paraphrasing that, even though a devotee sometimes engages in material sense gratification, but they understand that there is no substance in it, and they quickly regret their activities every time they fall into any such situation. Sometimes a devotee falls down from their position in sense gratification. Sometimes devotees break principles. But even without breaking principles, a lot of times we engage in sense gratification. And that verse in Bhagavatam says that the devotee quickly regrets that their performance, and then again tries, is again gets situated or again continues with their spiritual practice. So it is acknowledged, I think the point is, it is acknowledged by Krishna that this happens and this is normal, that, devotees engaging in sense gratification, because our, I think, our desire or our propensity to enjoy remains, but we have still not become so as purified or as realized to derive all pleasure through bhakti yet. And so sometimes we do seek pleasure in other activities. And like you said, mercy is the only hope. And I feel that from my limited understanding that as long as we remain steady in our sadhana, in our practice, and like Prahlad Maharaj here especially says, in a mood of dasanudas, in a mood of really, in a humble mood of serving the spiritual master actually, then it is only by the mercy of a guru or someone who is purified, who is there, that they can, they will then be inspired to also give us that mercy. I feel that yeah, I feel in conclusion that it is accepted and acknowledged that this will happen, but at the same time, our hope is that we do not sway away completely, or we do not leave the path as we keep coming back and keep trying. I think that effort or that desire even to grow and to come out of that situation completely, or to become so realized as to be permanently situated in that mood that we no longer have to chase material sense gratification. I think even that effort and that desire will be appreciated and will inspire the spiritual master to, be merciful. Because I like the story of Damodar Leela. It is the two fingers that were Yashoda, when she was trying to tie Krishna, she was short of two fingers. And the Acharya explains that one finger represents effort, our personal effort, and the other finger represents Krishna's mercy. So mercy is something that is not in our hands, not in our influence. But as long as we can put sincere efforts, I think that's the only thing we can really, we have control over.
I guess from any position we are in, effort is can qualify us for mercy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will end now. It's 8:30. Thank you very much once again. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.